All right, all right. It's that time of the week again. It's Jason, aka the Dad Next Door, bringing it to you live every Thursday night, but not for long. Nothing's really going on other than we're moving to another night. I'll discuss that at the end of this episode. But right now, let's get into this real quick. I got my man from the Dad Up podcast, Bryan Ward, and he's going to break it down for you all about his passion for podcasting for dads. He'll be up in just a sec. In the meantime, watch this. Be right back.
Fatherhood. It's how we keep our tribes and families strong. You've landed in the right place if you're ready for dad jokes, tips, and tricks on fun parenting. Also with interviews with some of the coolest dad entrepreneurs we could track down and have them share their strategies to tackling it all in business and life on the Dad Next Door. And now, your host, Mr. Dad Jokes himself, Jason Centeno.
Say hi, Nana. You ain't shy. They don't show you it in action because things like this.
Oh, fix it. Fix it.
I love Daddy. He's a superhero. I don't know. Are you in superheroes? I know.
Amen to that. I don't know about a superhero, but I feel super sometimes. How about you? You feeling super today?
I feel super every day, man. How you been, brother?
Good, good, good. So for those of you who have never seen this show before, maybe there's one or two of you out there. What I do as a dad entrepreneur, and this is a show for dad entrepreneurs in case, let's pretend you've never seen this and this is all new and this is the first episode. So I reach out to other dad entrepreneurs that are doing dad stuff, and we get into their stories on what they're doing and why, and then how they balance that with family life. So everybody's an interesting story. Where I got the idea from, it was a mix between having some conversations over, I guess it was, lunch at a real estate function, and then a friend of mine also kind of inspired me to do this. But it's been awesome getting into other dads' heads in a way that I don't think a lot of people really try to do. I think we just kind of get kind of like Father's Day. We kind of get the, yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. That's what you're supposed to do. That's your job, right? So what I do in the when I'm not on camera is I try to help people turn their big tech ideas into reality by, taking that and helping them package it so that they could, take it to market. So I do that with a company called Sela Labs. I call my portion of that dadlabs.tech. And if you're interested, if you have an idea or a young person in your life that has an idea that wants to take this idea they have in their head and turn it into a reality, definitely reach out to me. And then Bryan here. So we met in Clubhouse, right? Did we meet before Clubhouse? Or
We met before Clubhouse.
Okay. Well, I think, you know what? I was looking for other dads who wrote books and stuff, and I think we came across each other on Instagram. I think that might have been it. And then we started talking, and then we ran into each other on Clubhouse. But he was interesting because I was looking for more dads doing big stuff like writing books and doing podcasts. And of course, when I did the search, Dad Up podcast came up pretty. It caught my attention. So we started talking, and then we encountered each other. So I was like, well, we gotta do a show together. So that's why you're here. You're here to entertain not only dads, but everybody. And he's sitting there in that office and just like, guys don't know, he runs multi-million-dollar corporation. He's like reverse Batman. He's just like back here doing superhero stuff in the nighttime, and I don't know. But all right, so let me stop rambling because that's what I started doing. Bryan, tell us your story. I know it, but the evolution from dad basketball coach to dad with a passion for, with the podcast passion, with reaching out to other dads, with holding down Facebook groups and just being, one of the guys in the dad community that's taking charge and being a leader. And hell, you even hired a board of directors, which you just hit me with that right before that. So I got to hear more about that. Tell these guys, what's your story?
Yeah. So first of all, Jason, it's obviously good to see you, and thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Always, you have one of the best shows out there. I mean, so I'm just excited to be here and excited to chit chat with you about dad life. But kind of backing up with me, I grew up in a household where both my parents worked, and even though they were around, they weren't super involved. And I mean, I can count on one hand how many games that they came to that I participated in. You know, I wrestled and played water polo and swam and all that in high school. And I can count on one hand how many times they actually came to watch. And it wasn't because they didn't want to, it was just because they worked. And I just told myself that when I got older and had a family myself, I wasn't going to be that way. So I focused on being an all-in dad. And that was my mission when I had my two boys. They're both adults now, 22 and 19. But when we had them, I was all in. I was committed. And started coaching them at the age of 4 and coached them all the way through high school. So going to the podcast, I mean, that journey kind of started, I guess, out of fear. I saw that both my boys were, you know, my older son was out of high school at the time. My younger son was about to graduate high school. And I kind of saw this dad journey ending. I had kind of done my job. My wife and I had done our job as parents, raising our boys to be well, productive young men. And it kind of scared me because I'd been so involved in their lives, I didn't know what was next. And so I kind of talked to some people and kind of got the idea that, hey, maybe I should jump on this podcast journey and kind of not really share my story, but hear other dads' stories and hear what their experiences have been, because we know that dads kind of get stuck with the stigma of being the babysitter. And it's kind of that, I'm trying to change that, as you are trying to change that. Look, we're not just babysitters, we're doing all kinds of things. And so I wanted to hear other dads' experiences, and I wanted to teach dads that may be struggling in certain areas of their child's life, whether it's the young toddler ages, the teenage ages, going into adulthood. If there's a dad out there that I interview that kind of shares some tips or suggestions or experiences that other dads may take home and go, hey, I can apply that in my life. And the other point of the show is just to say, hey, you can be a very successful father and be an all-in dad. Dads carry the weight of trying to be the financial provider for their family. So they think they have to work these 80-hour weeks in order to provide for their family. And yet they're missing out on all the opportunities and the growth and the bonding with their kids. And so the other point of the show is to say, hey, you can have a successful career, but at the same time, you can also be a successful father. So that's really where the journey of the podcast came from. And I've had the honor of interviewing some, you know, celebrities, high profile guests, and it's just been an amazing journey. And I've learned a lot, made a lot of new friends, and I'm looking forward to it continuing.
Aside from me right now, who was your favorite?
I had let's see, I've had a couple of favorites. Chris Powell, who's extreme makeover, weight loss makeover guy. Had him on my show. He was unbelievable. Chris Gronkowski, the brother of Rob Gronkowski, had him on my show. He was good. I've had some, I don't know if you're familiar with MTV. The moms are real familiar with the MTV Teen Mom, but I've had a couple of the dads on my show from Teen Mom on MTV. It's just been pretty cool. It's just been a pretty cool journey.
So who was the first person to co-sign when you decided, like, hey, I think the podcast is the way? Who was like your number one person that was like, yeah, do that? Like that kind of just like, you know, yeah, you should go whole hard on that.
Well, other than my wife being my biggest supporter and my biggest fan, she was actually on my show too. She was my 50th episode. So, but other than her, really the idea came from my brother-in-law. And I don't know if you're familiar with who he is, Ed Milet, but he's my brother-in-law. He's got, you know, a couple million followers on Instagram, does his own show himself. He actually is the one that talked to me about doing the podcast. So,
so he suggested it, or you asked him if it was like, should I do this? Like which one?
Well, it's funny. I was sitting at his beach house in Laguna. We were sitting out on the back patio, and I was kind of sharing my fear of going into this new chapter of my life with both my boys gone. His kids, his son is now in college, but his daughter is still in high school. And so he still had a couple years to go, but I told him, I just said, man, I just don't know. I'm kind of feeling this emptiness in my heart. Like they're going to be gone. And what do I do next? And he said, why don't you just share that? Why don't you just talk to dads on a podcast? Why don't you do like some sort of dad podcast? So he suggested it. And I just went home. I never thought about it. Went home, started talking to my wife about it. She's like, you would be great at that. You need to do it. And that's kind of how the ball got rolling.
So did this kind of stuff run in your family other than your in-laws, as far as just entrepreneurship and creating things out of thin air, because of a personal need? And then it's like, well, more than me just need this. So is that anything that runs in your family, or that you're kind of the first guy?
Yeah, no, it's not. Both my parents have worked in the healthcare industry for going on 40 years now. And I have aunts and uncles that all worked regular jobs. It's not really in my family. I do have a cousin that's an entrepreneur, but other than that, no. The funny thing is ever since I've kind of looked at this journey of being this entrepreneur with this podcast, my older son has kind of seen, my brother-in-law and a couple other family members on my wife's side of the family that have been entrepreneurs, and he has kind of gotten that entrepreneur bug in him. He wants to be an entrepreneur. He wants to do something on his own. He doesn't want to work for a corporation. He wants to do something on his own. So he's graduated from college now. He's just saving money, but he's got the spirit in him.
So I was actually going to ask you that. That was my next question. Does anybody in your family, like the kids, want to follow in your footsteps? And it's great when one does, without the prodding, I guess you could say, because every father, I feel like, well, most of them feel like, hey, I'd like to pass this down, or that just seems like something that may, I don't want to say define them, but like if you like your job or you feel like you're giving, value to the world, you want to see and teach that to your son, daughter, whatever. But sometimes they just have no desire whatsoever. They want to be the opposite of you, or it feels like that anyway. So it's always nice to know that somebody does want to do that. And I got to get with you because I might have something for him that you might, he might want to take advantage of. It's called the Young Entrepreneur Movement, something that just got started, but it's basically taking guys with college kids or even younger. I'm working with a 17-year-old right now, and he's looking pretty good. And helping them go through those steps and kind of get trained for it. And then they have like 3 choices once they get certified on what they want to do from there. And they're all good choices. It's just a question of like what their, I guess what their flame is, what do they love to do the most out of those things, and then go with that. Right. So, yeah, I'll shoot that to you later.
Yeah. He's, so both my boys, the one thing I did try to encourage them to do, I didn't necessarily, if they wanted to follow my footsteps, I work in corporate America. So if they wanted to follow my footsteps, that was fine. I'm not going to discourage my kids to go into any particular line of work. As long as it's legal, moral, and ethical, I'm not going to discourage them. But the one thing that I did try to encourage my boys to do is go into the military, because I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps, and I felt that I learned a lot from it, had a great experience, and helped me grow, helped me learn work ethic, and it also paid for my college. So it's just something that I tried to encourage them to do, but they had no interest in it, and that's all right. I encouraged it. They turned it down. That's okay. They'll go on and find their own paths, and that's fine.
Yeah. I always felt like that I didn't want to go that path. And I do see that I probably would have gotten a lot farther just with that discipline, possibly, but I've always been a little bit more self-disciplined than most people too. So there's kind of like this, probably would have done me some good, but then again, I'm a hard head and a little bit of a rebel, which is the entrepreneur kind of thing anyway. Like you don't kind of want to do what everybody else is doing. So I just felt like it wasn't the greatest fit. And I ended up in a paramilitary organization, which was a little bit looser, but I had a kind of a little bit more flexibility there. But I will say this, like just the value you get from working with teams and other individuals, which is definitely needed in today's age when people can't even get close to each other. How do you do this over Zoom? And, with degrees of separation between you and that other person, it's a different world. So there's a benefit to it, but, it's not for everybody.
Right.
So, what's your daily routine look like? You mentioned you're in corporate America, and a lot of my guests are all, full-time entrepreneurs. Not all, and I've also been both at the same time. So, I had a full-time job as a firefighter, and then actually, I was also an employer. So I know how both things sort of feel. How does that work out with you? I mean, you're a pretty busy guy. You're working, then you coach basketball, and that's your passion, and then you do the podcast. So, I guess what's a daily routine look like for a guy like you?
Yeah. So I used to, doing the podcast, I used to have an editor that used to edit my podcast episodes there for me every week. But to save a little bit of money, I stopped doing it and started editing myself. So now once a week, I'm up at 4:00 in the morning and I'm editing this week's episode. So I do that one day a week. The other days, other than coming into the office, I get into the office around 7:45 or so every morning, and I typically leave around 5:45 to head to basketball practice, where I coach basketball until 8:30 at night, and then I'm home by 9. So that's really my day. If we have a game, it could get later, but typically the family, because both my boys are out of high school now, so typically the wife and the boys will come to the games and watch the games with me. So, but that's really my day, and I devote 100% of my weekend to my family.
It's kind of a reversal there. It's usually you go to the kids' games, and now they're going to your games, and that's actually
Right.
It's kind of decent there.
I tell them, I say, you guys don't have to come to the games. I'm just coaching. You don't have to come, and they enjoy it. So they come.
So I mean, my next question, and what's your best dad life look like right now? Because they're out of the house, but then they show up for the game, so that's cool. So you said the weekends are dedicated to family. What's the ideal? I guess the ideal weekend for all of you guys, as far as you feeling fulfilled as a father, and everybody's getting along, because that.
Obvious. I mean, I've got, they're 19 and 22. They bang heads every once in a while. Obviously, the ideal day would be everybody getting along, and we're enjoying being around each other and just having really open conversation. When we've gone out and done activities together, whether it's taking the dog to the park to play catch or just even down to the beach, those kind of activities I love. We're going to Hawaii this summer, so the four of us off into Hawaii for a week. It'll be exciting. So just everybody getting along and enjoying each other's company is ideal, and it doesn't have to be on a weekend. It could be any day of the week.
So that's the good stuff. But what happens when 22-year-old shoots a spitball in 19-year-old's eye, and you get angry at them? And how do you handle the anger and the, because even older, they're going to do stupid stuff.
It's, it can be tough. It's challenging because part of us wants to react instead of just respond. And that reacting in a way that can get us in trouble is what can get us in trouble as parents. But, for the most part, my boys are pretty good friends. They go to the gym and work out together every single day. So they do hang out with each other a lot. When they're not getting along, and there are those days when they don't get along, they just stay in their separate corners. So one will go to one room and one will go to the other room, or one will go to the gym, the other one stays home. I mean, they just kind of leave each other alone. They're actually pretty good about that. Don't get me wrong. We've had our moments where they've gotten into little tangles and we've had to break them up. But it's part of being brothers, but I know that there isn't anything in the world that they wouldn't do for one another. If one of them needed something, they would be there to help each other out. But on those days when it's bad, they're pretty good about just kind of leaving each other alone. I mean, they're adults now, so it's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's a little bit different in my world. There's
Right.
6 and they're all different sizes, and
Right.
you could say the same words to three different ones, the same exact words. They all take it differently. One will cry, one will scream, one will be insulted, one will laugh. And you're like, are we all on the same page? And no, you're definitely not on the same page. And sometimes not even in the same universe. So you
Right.
just have to handle that the best way you can.
With 6 of them running around, you're on 6 different pages sometimes.
Yeah, or at least that many. Sometimes not even on my own page. I don't know whose page I'm on. So what would you say as a dad? Like, what's your superpower that you feel like you your kids are good because you feel like you mastered this one sort of talent or discipline? What would you say that would be?
My superpower would probably be with my boys is gosh, I almost want to name 2 of them, but they'll probably disagree with me. Communication. I've always pushed for them to never ever be afraid to talk to me about anything. And if I know that something's going on with them, I will do whatever I can to help them through it and talk to them. So communication is huge for me with my boys. And the other one is love. I'm really good about showing them love. They may not like it all the time. They may tell me to get away, but love and communication are the 2 superpowers that I carry, and I'll continue to carry until the day I die.
Nice. Now, what about your kryptonite? Like, what would be the opposite? What about them will always they'll have you at a little bit of a disadvantage or on your heels?
Well, that's the react versus response that I was giving you earlier. I'm an ex-Marine, so I can be hot-headed. They tell you in the Marines you're taught 3 things: how to cuss, how to drink, and how to kill. And so I have a tendency. I can go from 0 to 10 real super quick, and it's something that I've worked on for many, many years and will continue to work on. I'm not perfect at it, but my kryptonite is kind of jumping the gun on things sometimes. And it's not so much now because, like I said, they are adults now, so it's a little easier to manage. But when they were younger and they tested me, it pushed my buttons, and it was something that I had to work through and continue to work through to this day. I'm not perfect, like I said. So, yeah, that's probably it for me.
Give me 100 right now.
I've tried that route.
In the rain at midnight.
I've tried that route. Drop and give me 40. Yeah.
You got to take your shot, right?
Right.
So sometimes I like to do this because, it puts people on their heels a little bit. I ask these random questions, and I just do it to see what other dads say, because it just makes me laugh sometimes, the stuff we come up with. So I'm going to ask you these totally random questions, and you answer them. There's no right or wrong answer, but it's just my way of breaking things up. All right. So what's the first thing you notice about the opposite sex?
Hair.
Hair? Like if it's on their lip, or just like the style they have?
Right. Yeah, their hair.
Because those are both very noticeable. All right. If you were stranded on a tropical island, what 2 things would you want with you? Should be good for a Marine. What would you need?
Water and my wife.
I was going to say a knife, but okay.
No, it was either a toss up between a knife and water.
All right. She must be able to cut with her hands or something. I mean, I'm just thinking. Right. I'm just thinking, Chicago, buddy.
I'll figure something. I'll figure something out.
All right. What's the first thing you notice about someone when you first meet?
Oh, that's a good one. What's the first thing I notice about someone when we first meet? Gosh. All right, I'll think about that one. You got to move to the next one.
There's no time limit on this. All right. What was your favorite book growing up?
The Bible.
Yeah, read a lot of that every day. All right, so you've passed 80 out of 100 because you skipped one.
Right.
There's no grade here.
Probably just their, I don't know, their smile. I don't know. Now, if I meet somebody and they don't smile, I'll notice that they're not smiling, and that'll stick out to me. So
Your feelings be damned. You wouldn't even get off the first campaign show. They were like, he said damn. All right. So what's one weird thing most people don't know about you?
What's one weird thing? I have several. I think, gosh, what's one weird thing? Let's see. I'm addicted to candy. I don't know if that's weird or not.
No, I'm with you there.
I can't stop. I can't stop.
Now, do the people in your house enable you, or you could just have stashes? They try to stop you, and you just have stashes. This is a problem I experience as well. I'm just curious.
Half and half. Like my wife will actually. My son is he's a little bit on me more than anybody else. But my wife just told me the other day that next week we're taking the candy away. So. So yeah, I'm like every night I've got to have it.
It's me or the candy, and it's like,
right.
Why not both? Why not candy on you? Can we work this out? Yeah, they're always trying to ruin a good party by snatching out the Snickers. I don't know. M&Ms too, peanut M&Ms, stuff like that. White chocolate is my, white chocolate peanut butter cups. That's it. I'm surprised I'm not diabetic right now, but I still try to exercise a lot. So.
Yeah, no, I'm like the old people candy, like the butterscotch and that kind of stuff. Like I have a bag of butterscotch candies, like a Ziploc bag of butterscotch candies next to my bed.
A toffee man, a man of refinement. I see.
So yeah, it's something I need to, I guess, limit, but. I'll pop 6 or 7 of them butterscotch candies in my mouth at once.
That's a habit, especially if you gotta like talk to somebody really quickly after that. They're like looking like a squirrel or something.
Well, no, my wife gets mad though because we'll go to bed and I'll be watching TV and we're laying in bed and I'll be eating candy and I'll fall asleep and then I choke. And it wakes her up because I'm coughing from choking on candy.
Wow. Yeah, I guess that is a problem. I mean,
Yeah, that's a problem.
Falling asleep with chewing gum is also a problem, but that's a definite one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there could be worse problems, but yeah, it's a bit of an issue.
So I'm not sure how many questions you get asked in the course of a day as far as like what you do. But I like to ask this question because I mean I like to ask both of these questions because I always get interesting question. I mean, always get interesting answers. I'm sorry. What is one question you wish people would ask you but they never do?
One question that I wish people would ask me but they never do. I've never thought about that, Jason. That's an excellent question. Goodness. They never ask me. I could sit here all day and think of something and I can't think of anything. Where did you grow up? I guess. I mean, I never get asked that. People are surprised when I tell them I'm in California.
You want to hear one that I'm not just, it's a common one I'm starting to hear a lot now. And it's really, it's sad because it's so simple, but it keeps coming up. And that is, how are you doing? Like, how are you really doing? People don't ask that.
Yeah. But what's funny that you say that is I've noticed that has come up more and more since the pandemic hit. I noticed that people have been asking that a lot more just since the pandemic. But you're right. Before it was never about that.
Yeah. So that always, I mean, it's a little bit sad, but it's like, I mean, hearing that makes us think about that more, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm glad people start saying it out loud. But yeah, that's one that I find people saying a lot. I mean, I've heard it at least 4 times when I've asked that question. So, here's another one. Is there any questions that you're tired of people asking you? Like, I don't know, maybe in the as a basketball coach or in the bank or whatever you do. I mean,
Yeah, one of the things that I get asked a lot is how do you deal with parents with being a basketball coach? And
like backseat drivers or just overprotective or just way too controlling. Like what?
Like how do you deal with over, I guess, helicopter parents? You know what I mean? But that was more before, because I coach high school now, and that was more in the elementary, junior high age that would happen a lot because parents were really trying to coach their kids up. It happens every once in a while in high school, but it hasn't happened to us for a few years, so we've been pretty fortunate. But that's one thing that drives me nuts because, listen, we're all parents. We're all trying to make sure that our kids do the best they can. And parents they get excited. They don't quite understand that, hey, I'm not supposed to be coaching from the sideline. I'm supposed to be cheering, or from the stands. I'm supposed to be cheering. So it's always been a touchy subject.
Why not just air horn? Anytime, just be that guy. Like,
yeah.
What's a dad stereotype you feel like you don't fit in? Now, when I say dad stereotype, there's like white New Balance sneakers, there's Mr. Grill Master, there's Mr. Mechanic, I can fix anything. Like which of those kind of stereotypical dad things do you think like you're like, oh, I'm totally not that guy?
Oh man, I wish I could fix everything, but I am pretty handy. I'm not. I don't know. I'm probably that one. Fix everything. I can fix a lot of things. I can mechanically fix a lot of things, but I think my wife probably prefers that I pay somebody to do it. So I'm probably that one. As far as the dad sneakers and stuff like that, yeah, unfortunately I have them, but I'm almost 50 years old, so I'm I got the dad wardrobe going on. I try to dress a little hipper, a little nicer, a little kind of more in style, and my boys always make fun of me, so
Yeah, I my son's got like the same shoe size as me now, so I'm definitely gonna start stealing sneakers just like he used to do.
Oh no, I can't. I'm a 12. My boys are 13 and a halves or something. I can't wear their shoes.
I can't wait for someone to tell me like, you know what? I'm like the best dancer. Like I'm like a competitive dancer, dad. It's like that's like one of them. I'm waiting for them, the strange ones like that. Like because they sometimes like, oh, you're an old guy, you can't really dance, and some come through. But I can't wait to that one. Like I'm a professional break dancer. I still got it. And go backspin on people, that kind of good stuff. We'll see. One day I'll get him. Ask your brother-in-law. Maybe he looks fit. He probably could do backspins and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I have been known to throw down a few big breakdancing routines in my day. So
what?
Yeah.
Bump up off your desk. Now
listen. I've been my wife and I have been to weddings where I've been the guy out on the dance floor doing the backspin. So it's been a few years since I've done that, but I have been known to throw down some moonwalking and some breakdancing and backspins. So
respect. So the dad up podcast, right? So where do you want this to go? What would you like to see as a result of it? Like life changes or do you see it going big? Like, you have a vision for this thing, and how can anybody watching this, myself included, like help you get that to where you wanted to go, like where you feel
I'm looking for a really huge movie deal. So if there's any producers out there that are
Dr. Vibe, he's heavy into the shampoo game.
I know.
Man with no hair got Dove hair care products.
Right.
Crazy, and it makes me laugh. But if nothing else, that's like well deserved. I mean, he's a smooth guy. Like he deserves that. But I thought that was funny.
No, honestly, I'm looking at. I'm in the process of writing a book. So I'm going down that road a little bit. Eventually I'll get to a point where it's my podcast is monetized. I've had companies that have reached out to me, big companies that have reached out to me and actually sent me contracts to put commercials in my shows of their products. And it's just not something I'm interested in doing yet. So right now, the monetization side of it is not where I'm at. I kind of want to grow it a little bit more, kind of get a little bit more exposure before I start considering that. The one thing that I am going to move to, because right now it's only audio, so I am looking at ways that I can move to video podcast, because I think it's important to get the YouTube side of things going. So that will help with the exposure, obviously. So that's one direction that I'm currently working on right now. And then obviously just through the, getting the book done, and the book's probably going to be another year or so before it's completed. But yeah, just that's kind of the direction right now. Monetization, I'm probably looking at a year, maybe 2 years down the road before I start really considering monetizing it.
Yeah, I think it's everybody's holy grail, but for two things. Number one, you're kind of like, this is StreamYard, so don't, you should consider this, because basically you can pull the audio straight from it and put it right into your podcast, so you'll have both audio and video. So I mean, maybe start practicing and doing it that way, and then that'll get you there a lot quicker. It doesn't have to be fancy in the beginning. It's just practice to make it perfect, right? So there's that. What was the other thing? I don't know, the path to monetization. So, I'm a business person, and I've considered that, and what I've gotten from it is that I don't mind that it's not, because it's fun. Number one,
right?
So I think above all things, it should be fun for you and rewarding in that aspect. I mean, for me, and then that'll come eventually. But yeah, there's only so long you can do something like this and incur a certain amount of cost before that is going to be necessary to keep it going. But in the meantime, have fun with it, and as long as you're authentic and people get to feel that, then the audience will build, even if you have 2-3 viewers for a while. But once you get up to that 50, 100 episodes, all that, I guess, create this big old swirl of activity and what you intended it for. So that's good.
Yeah, I'm all about I kind of approach this as kind of like a little hobby, a way that I could kind of, the way I see it is the way that I could kind of give back to other dads and kind of help them out in their journeys if they're struggling in any areas. But yeah, it's really been I've just enjoyed it, and it's something I've committed to, and I stick to every single week. I put out an episode every single week, haven't missed a single week. And it's just something that I enjoy doing. So, and it doesn't, I mean, it takes a lot of time, but it really doesn't, because I do try to balance it around family and my job and basketball. So if that means I lose a couple hours of sleep to do it, and that's what happens. But it's pretty easy to manage. It's just, every week I got to balance it out. Yeah.
Well, to that end, you told me something interesting. Normally we ask, I have conversations with other dads about masterminds, right? So we're actually in one together. We still haven't gotten on the same one at the same time with Jeff, but you're in it and I'm in it. And that's like an accountability kind of mastermind, which is cool for mostly for dads. It's definitely for entrepreneurs. And then there's what you told me, which was you got your own personal board of directors, which of course you would, coming from corporate America, but tell me, let's dig into that, because the way you explained it, people have accountability partners, but you got a board of accountability partners. And what made you come up with that? Where did that idea come from? And then how does that help you, that, the board you created for yourself?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's actually more common than you realize, and then here's the thing: companies, large companies, even small companies, they have board of directors that help keep the company functioning and help to keep the company running successfully. And then you look on the flip side where you have entrepreneurs or athletes, pro athletes, even actors, actresses. They have coaches that help them in workouts and training and speeches and their speeches that they give. It's so they all have these like personal coaches. So I kind of like, hey, look, I don't have a company. I have myself, and I want Bryan to be successful in everything that he's doing in all areas of his life. So health, family, my mental health, my spiritual health, my career, my financial health. I want all those areas to be successful. And those are all areas that I can control. But how do I control those the best? And I found that in order to get the best control out of all those areas and have the most success out of all those areas, I got to have experts in all those areas help me. So what I did is I started going through and looking at people that I knew that were very close to me, that I had a pretty good relationship with, and talked to them. And I asked them, hey, would you be willing to be on my board of directors to guide me in this area of my life? Now, it's not something that's going to take a whole lot of time on their part. I do a meeting with them once every other month. So we meet every 2 months. We meet for 1 hour, and we go over the things that I have accomplished or not accomplished in my life over the last 2 months since the last board meeting, and things that I may be struggling with moving forward. What areas do I need to work on? And so it's almost like a strategic planning meeting. Like, how do I get to the next level before our next meeting? And I think it's something that is going to really help make me better as a human being, as a person, as a father, as a husband. So I got 7 guys, and I interviewed all of them. Spoke to all of them. And then I even took it a step further where I wrote up contracts that all of them had to sign and say that, yes, they're committed to helping me out. And so they all signed these contracts, and I signed them as well. And so I have all their contracts. And
do you meet, when you said you meet with them, are you meeting one-on-one with each of them for an hour every 2 months? Or is this like a group meeting where they're like, what I would vision as a board meeting with 8 people going over the business of Bryan, like, or the,
yeah.
Is it one-on-one, or is it
one? It's like a board. It's like a board meeting. Okay. So we do via Zoom because we're all in different parts of the country. I got people in Canada. Jeff's on my board. So I got people in Canada. Jeff and Dr. Viber on my board. I got people here in California. I got people in Florida. I got people in Texas. I got people in Arizona. These guys are all on my board. So we meet via Zoom for 1 hour.
It's like some Illuminati type stuff. All right. Yeah, I know these secret dad meetings that I'm not a part of. I'm going to start doing something about that. I'll tell you right now. Now,
believe it or not, though, listen, believe it or not, Google it. Google personal board of directors. You'll be surprised at how much information is out there on it.
Well, see, I already have at least 7 people a day telling me what I need to do with myself. And I don't know. I don't feel like any of them are qualified at any point in any day. So I probably should take this out. Does your wife get a seat at this board meeting?
No,
separate entity.
Yeah. And there's a reason why I did that. I didn't want my wife or my boys, who are both adults, I didn't want any of them on the board. And the reason that I did that is because they're going to tell me what I want to hear.
Got it.
And I don't want them to tell me what I want to hear. I want them to tell me what I need to hear. And I know that these men that I chose are guys that are going to be straight with me. So that's why I don't have my wife on the board.
That is a good, intelligent, and very politically astute answer, and I will agree with you. All right. So, what's your best piece of life advice to other dad entrepreneurs? And I think what you just talked about right now, I'm gonna look into that. Especially because a lot of entrepreneurs are lone wolves, and I think there's a place between masterminds. I mean, there's masterminds, but sometimes everybody's in it to give and get. But
Right.
it's still it's omnidirectional, and sometimes it can't be focused if it's omnidirectional. It's still good, but like again, it's not focused on a specific person's one problem, right? So I like this idea because it's like you said, it's very focused and detailed in its execution. But what's your best piece of life advice to other dad entrepreneurs sitting where you are now, having gone through it, different things, and then this journey, you're not what I guess a typical entrepreneur looks like to the Instagram crowd, right? Because you're not, you're older, you're still in corporate America. To some, it might just seem like you're just doing dad stuff, but to those of us who know, like, you are in a unique position of, like I said, you wouldn't be here if you weren't. And some people can't see that in themselves, that even if they're behind a desk, right, or serving on a church, or just being a really good coach, that there's opportunities in here to lead and also profit in a good way, because that's what entrepreneurship's about. I mean, there's a point to it all. What would you say to those kind of people?
What I would say is you need to go through life as a dad and an entrepreneur. You need to go through life and do things that fulfill you. If what you're doing right now, and in whatever company you own or whatever business you're running, even being a father, if you're not feeling fulfilled, you need to take a look in the mirror and figure out what you need to do to fix it. But one thing that I've always tried to do as a dad and as a husband, and as a basketball coach, is what can I do tomorrow to be better than the way I was today. So every day I try to improve get to the best version of myself every single day. And if I'm improving just a little bit every single day, imagine that cumulative, what that means over a year, how much better I'll be. So I work on trying to be a better person today than I was yesterday. And I mean, I think the personal board of directors, if your viewers or listeners have never heard of that, definitely consider it, because it's even I would say it's even better than going and seeing a therapist or a specialist, because these are people that you trust and believe and will help guide you into being the person that you want to be. And you gotta put people in place that are doing the things that you want to do. So
how long did you have the board? Like, how long has there been a board of directors for you?
This is the first year.
Okay. I was going to ask, maybe that's another, maybe that becomes a further continued conversation in another year. Because I'd like to see what you think the biggest impact had on you in a year. Like, where did you improve the most?
Yeah.
Stuff of that. And then the least, because I know it's going to be different for everybody, because some people are just, they like you. I'd be surprised. I'd like to hear if you actually kick the candy habit due to a board overrule. All right, buddy, you can only have one butterscotch per week. You're done.
Right. Well, listen, I can kick the habit. I can kick the candy habit when I'm
like every one of those guys that think.
Right. No, when I get into I'm training for a marathon or something. When I get to in deep into training for a marathon, I can stop eating candy. I don't like to, but I can, because I have a goal in mind, and that goal is to finish the marathon. Once I'm done with the marathon, bring on the candy.
2 scoops of Nutella. All right. How do you want to leave your mark on the world?
You know what? If my boys, they grow up and they raise families, and they are as involved, and if they're as involved as a father as I have been, then I've done my job. So I think I'm a big believer in, your legacy is really built inside your home, not outside your home. So many people, so many, entrepreneurs or businessmen, they really try to build their legacy in their companies and their businesses that they're working on, but really your legacy is built inside your home. So if I can build that legacy for my boys to where they're as involved fathers as I've been, then I can go see my Heavenly Father and be just fine.
That's good. Now, I was just thinking, it kind of brought me back to reminding me, like, you probably experience a little empty house syndrome, and sometimes it might be a little quiet in there. And so, adopt a kid. I'm going to tell you that. I'm on my mission. I got to get 100 kids adopted before I die.
I know. And
I'm going to drop that in there every once in a while. Hey, I might have to.
I'll probably be talking to you because I've talked to a few people about it. It's something that my wife is actually interested in because obviously both my boys are, my older son will be out of the house this summer. My younger son, once he's done with college, he'll be gone. But it's something that she has mentioned to me a few times. So
let me know. I can definitely tell you there's a lot of ways to serve in that capacity that people don't necessarily even know about that will fit their lifestyle more, especially if they don't feel like they want to chase kids around all the time. I mean,
right.
I look tired a lot, but it is happy work. But some people are just like, I still enjoy, freedom of movement, or there's a lot of ways. So definitely hit me up about that, because I could tell you some things where you can have the best of all worlds in that, and everybody wins. But
right.
All right, so that was it. I kind of wanted to make sure I got that in because, like I said, I'm all about that. So you ready for these dad jokes, right? You said you got a couple. You said you had at least one good one, right? Or you had two? Because I'll take all of them. This show's all about over delivering now. Some people won, but
you got the obvious one. When does a joke become a dad joke? You know that one, right?
I do. I that's good for teenagers because that's a groaner, but you can share it. I don't know if anybody shared it on here yet. So
so a joke becomes a dad joke when it becomes apparent. So I mean that's the old go-to. But it's funny. There's one that I don't even know if I've ever told my boys this one, but I've mentioned a lot about the Bible and all that, but I don't know if you know this, Jason, but Moses drank coffee. And I don't know if you know how he makes coffee.
I heard this before, but I forgot it. So lay it on me, Bryan.
He brews it.
He brews it, yeah. That's the old one. Yeah, I remember a long time ago I heard that one. I was like, yeah.
Yeah. What's another one? I mean, there's a lot of silly ones out there. What did the ocean say to what did one ocean say to the other ocean?
Nothing. He just waved.
It just waved.
It's the Atlantic say to the Pacific. But yeah, I got my kids with that one. Yeah. Oh, did you hear this one? And since we did a little church theme there for a second. How do you make holy water?
Oh.
Boil the hell out of it.
Yeah, I've heard that one. I have heard that one.
There you go. All right, it's a golf joke. Who shit? Somebody passed this to me. I'll pass it on to you if you didn't hear it. Why do you take an extra pair of socks when you go golfing?
Why?
In case you get a hole in one.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. Delayed reaction.
Yeah. I don't know. My wife does a lot of Amazon ordering. There's always an Amazon box at my house. But I just want to let you know that I have ordered an egg and a chicken, and I'll let you know.
That one has some levels. People are gonna have to come back and rewind the tape on that one. But that's good though. Make them rewatch this. We get more views. Thank you. They're gonna Google it. Wait a minute. What did he say? Which came first? Be nice if they came with it. So what happens though, because they consolidate the packages, they might come at the same time, and then you're screwed.
Well, no, I'll just tell you, they came at the same time.
The age-old question. All right, brother. Well, I know you got to go do some basketball coaching and stuff, and I appreciate the time, and I wish you the best for your podcast and your book, because the books are actually very helpful for this kind of stuff. Especially, I've seen some guys they distilled a lot of the stuff from the podcast and put like all the best nuggets in. That's one of my favorite books. In fact, I think he's in the guy who did the first one. How to what does he go? The Best I Can. That guy, you know.
Yeah.
He I like the way he puts his book together. He put a few happy dads on my radar. So hopefully I can get him on here one day. But
oh yeah, he'll definitely come on. Yeah, he reached out to me to be on my show. Gosh, what the heck?
Yeah, I got his info somewhere. I forget.
Yeah, but if you need it, I can certainly send it to you. I've got his info.
Yeah, sure thing. But listen, I appreciate you, man. Go out there, coach these kids, keep these parents in line. Go dad up the whole squad over there, and let them know that the dad next door said to simmer down before I bring the air horns over there if they want to get too rowdy in the stands. I'll even brand it. Like, I'll put the name dad next door, and you can just get that on YouTube. It'll go viral. Just air horn and parents that are rowdy. That could be a thing. All right, brother. It was good having you. Just hang out in the green room for a second while I take these lovely, sexy people out with a bang.
Well, thanks for having me, Jason. I appreciate it, brother.
I appreciate you too. All right. So, guys, hopefully you enjoyed Bryan and all this good dad talk. So at the end of the episode, one of the things I wanted to make sure you guys knew was this is my last Thursday night. Maybe not forever, but I'm going to be moving to Tuesday nights because it just turned out that a lot of people do stuff on Thursday nights and it interferes with them. And there's a lot of more people that I want to interview that have problems with Thursday nights. So I figured I'll try out Tuesdays for a while, see how we like that until I have to change it again. But that doesn't matter because we record all these things. So you can always come back and catch your favorite person other than me and get all that good dad knowledge from them. So every week I like to try to offer you guys something special. This week, I think we still have a mastermind that you guys can sit on a guest spot if you want to be a part of that and sit in on a hot seat. Those are pretty valuable. Let me see, make sure I get this information out to you right now real quick. Here you go. This is how you get to participate in that. You would text the word mastermind to 305-602-3632 for a chance to win a hot seat at our next Tuesday Make Money and Have Fun mastermind meeting. A lot of the guys in there we have some real estate gurus, I guess you could say. Well, they're actually gurus. They do stuff. Guys with gyms, some other businesses, some newer folks too. So it's pretty interesting in there to have some good times in that mastermind. So if you're interested in that, feel free to text that mastermind to 305-602-3632 and sit in with us one week and see if you like it. I think that's it for me, other than changing over to a new time. We do the branding episodes. I'm sorry, the free branding classes tomorrow. If you want to get caught up with that, I think, let me see. We're going to make sure we got the right one here. Okay. Yeah, we can do this one. Brand You Today. That should get you in there. Brand You Today. It's a personal branding class that I do every week. So if you want to participate in that, if you need that, if you have a business that you're kind of stuck in trying to figure out who you are and get your name out there in a way that agrees with you and inspires you, then feel free to tune in every Friday at 11 p.m. EST. And I think that's it. I think I've covered everything for this week. So for all you dads, you entrepreneurs, and all the other sexy folk out there still up watching me, if you like what you heard, then don't forget next week, Tuesday, not Thursday, to tune in and turn up with the dad next door. So take care, comb your hair, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.